In 2019, SLZ announced the sequel to Boneworks, and depending on who you ask, it wasn't Bonelab. And not everyone in the Bonelab community knows about that. So today, we're tracing SLZ's whole production history, starting years before Boneworks even existed, to figure out why the game you got wasn't necessarily the game they set out to make. So Brandon's career path first started all the way back in 2004, 22 years ago. In 2004, Brandon met Freddie Wong at USC. Their first joint YouTube video, Aces, went up in 2006. Although Brandon is nowhere to be seen in the video, he is behind the scenes helping Freddie Wong. Ever since then, they progressively got better and better at making skits, ranging from comedy to action to sci-fi. The first skit that we see Brandon in is Alpine Slide Race. Rocket Jump is the channel name if you want to go check it out, and they did plenty of collaborations, my favourite being the one with Key and Peele. And to be honest, the VFX they did were very realistic for the time. At this point in the video, you've probably heard me say Freddie Wong quite a few times now, and I'll let you try and figure out what the significance with his name is. It's actually Jimmy Wong, one of the side characters in Boneworks and main characters in Bonelab. Jimmy Wong is actually Freddie Wong's younger brother. From 2011, Brandon goes on to direct a Rocket Jump series called Video Game High School. In 2013, Brandon and Freddie split up. Freddie stays on Video Game High School, whilst Brandon pivots fully into game dev. Brandon goes on to meet Alex Knoll, and they create Stress Level Zero in downtown LA. The studio's original charter wasn't just make VR games. It explicitly covered three pillars: interactive VR games, VR animated CGI videos, and live-action VR short films, plus a public as possible policy of live streaming in the office day. Just after they made the VR CGI video that you're seeing right now called Time Couch is when they started to develop Hover Junkers. Then the HTC Vive drops. It was the first VR to deliver full room-scale VR with external lighthouse base stations. It was pretty much the first consumer VR of which you could actually walk around. The other VRs at the time that had positional tracking were only in developer kits. Since it was Stress Level Zero's first VR game, they would constantly post devlogs, keeping the community informed on all of the progress that they've made. Ever since then, they've tried to steer themselves towards a more official VR studio. So the only videos Brandon posts on his channel now are launch trailers and teasers. Next we have Duck Season, with the VR version dropping in 2017 and the PC version dropping in 2019. In one of the Easter egg showrooms, there is a massive cliffhanger teasing the next games, Boneworks, Dead FM, and Hall of the Machine King. We can even see cat paw prints which most likely come from the Cat Clock cryptid, which you can notably find in most of SLZ's games. So it means that this cryptid is most likely going to be in Dead FM too. Just remember here, I'm talking about the game Dead FM, not WCCK Dead FM from Bonelab. Seeing the door titled Boneworks was all the way on the left meant it was most likely going to be their next game. The community was very excited about this game. The physics and graphics were extremely advanced for its time, and you can tell from a couple of the devlogs that they put a lot of effort into the game, which meant it was most likely going to be good. And they were right, because when the game dropped in 2019, everyone was so happy about it. The physics, graphics, story, and sandbox experience were very good. The game stayed as one of VR's biggest titles for quite a while. Then Boneworks Update 1.4 came out, adding two levels, the handgun time trial and the redacted chamber. The community was very happy because it gave them more puzzle to solve and more enemies to kill. After that, Update 1.5 dropped, releasing one last level, Zombie Warehouse. They decided to drop this style of level to keep the community entertained for a long time period. They developed a game that most people expected to be a direct sequel to Boneworks. Everyone was so excited for this game because they knew if SLZ could make a game like Boneworks and improve it, it was going to be insane. You see, a while ago, SLZ advertised something called Project 4, and a lot of people thought it was going to be their next game, but they were actually quite wrong. Brandon releases Bonelab's first teaser trailer on his YouTube channel. Everyone sees it and is so hyped up for Bonelab to release. They just really cannot wait. But unfortunately, the launch didn't go so well. Everyone's first instinct was to play the story mode, because Boneworks set the bar for the story mode so high. But unfortunately, 9 people out of 10 didn't understand that Bonelab wasn't a direct sequel to Boneworks, so 9 people out of 10 did not understand the story whatsoever. Which explains why the Bonelab launch didn't go as well as the Boneworks launch. Just a month after the game launched in patch 1, they added patch 2, and that was a pretty small gap between the updates, and the community hoped to see more of that. And then just 4 months later, patch 3 came out, which made the community think there were going to be frequent updates, and they got very happy. And then we have the famous year of radio silence between patch 3 and patch 4. And then SLZ got back into the rhythm, posting patch 5 6 months later, and patch 6 another month later. And then if you thought that the radio silence between patch 3 and patch 4 was big, we waited, and are still waiting, 2 years for patch 7, which is the initial time that SLZ said they were going to provide developer support. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. It took me a long time to do the research, and if you like, you can always subscribe.